Well, I think if we look back over the last 2 years, in the beginning, people didn't take Brexit totally seriously on both sides, thinking there might be another vote or put into question. Then we had a discussion on soft Brexit and hard Brexit. And now we've moved to a discussion between hard Brexit with a deal and an exit without anything. So as we can see from this historical point of view, the discussion has become harsher and harsher. And what we must avoid in the interest of both parts is to have an exit with no deal at all, because this will be making the flow of goods very difficult, and even in the field of services, uncertainties that are bad for both sides. So we need to get down and discuss the tough issues and find at least transition periods. That is my minimum, because if we have transition periods, we have a little bit of time to work out solutions.
Another area in terms of global geopolitics where there's been uncertainty over the flow of goods in particular and some difficult rhetoric has been international trade. Over the weekend, we've seen the Americans, Canadians and Mexicans sign a new trilateral deal. And I wonder, from your perspective as a European, do you think that bodes well, if that's a positive indication of how things may be between the US and Europe, and more significantly perhaps between the US and China? Does this seem to you like things will get resolved anytime soon?
Well, this is the first positive news on trade coming from the United States in quite some time. And it really bodes well, because we had lots of negative news over the last couple of months, and the tensions were increasing everywhere. I was in China recently, and I must say that the EU and China in July, when they had their summit, agreed that they would increase trade bilaterally and make investments bilaterally easier. So if now the United States, through the new deal with Canada and Mexico, embarks on a new mentality, on a new way of fostering trade, this is good news for the whole world and the globalized economy.
I want to bring you back to Europe and talk about Italy. We had last week the Italian government releasing a deficit target as a proportion of GDP of 2.4%. It was certainly higher than the economy minister Giovanni Tria was reported to have wanted, but it was more in line with what the politicians there seemed to ask for. Mr. Dombrovskis, the Commission Vice President, responded over the weekend and said that, he didn't feel that this was consistent. It was contradictory, he said, to prior Italian commitments. Do you have concerns about the impact that there would be on Europe as a whole if you ended up with the Commission and the Italian government, as it's currently constituted, being in opposition to one another over this?
I think in European matters, whenever you can de-dramatize, you should de-dramatize. First thing, Italy has announced a deficit of 2.4%. It's below the 3% threshold that is compulsory. So on that side, it's good. It is higher than what was expected, that is right. What we need now to look into is how that money is going to be spent, because if a lot is being done in productive investments, this is going to boost the GDP of Italy. So this will have also a positive impact on the economy. If most of it is in running costs, obviously the positive impact in the economy is less. And we all know that the biggest challenge for Italy is a reduction of the debt. And they have committed to a long-term reduction of that debt. That needs to be monitored, but we don't have all the figures right now, so let's give it for the time being the benefit of the doubt and have more details about the plan.
You yourself came to this position without prior political experience. You were not a party political animal. Yes. Mr. Tria, himself an economist, has no prior political affiliation. Would you have friendly words of advice to him today, and would you share those with us as he comes here to meet with you and other European counterparts at the Eurogroup meeting?
Well, one country is different from another. It is true that if you take a position of finance minister as a technician, your life is very difficult in the beginning because the politicians pressure you. In the end, the finance minister must feel safe with the numbers that he is suggesting. And the advantage of a technician is that he's not saying things because he wants to turn the truth or look sympathetic or wants to influence public opinions. He's going to say it because he looks at the numbers. So he's rather objective. That is his strength. his challenges to cope with the political pressures.
One final question, just looking ahead to the Eurogroup meeting this afternoon and the ECOFIN meeting tomorrow with a few more of the European finance ministers outside of the Eurozone involved in that. On the agenda, issues like taxation, VAT in particular, also the European Stability Mechanism potentially getting updated. What are you hoping to achieve, learn, and change over the next couple of days?
I think that we have a consensus building and strengthening around an increased role of the European Stability Mechanism in the future. We have had already some agreement in June on this, and we're going to go more deeply in details into that. It's just great news. We have been haggling and fighting on this over the last 3-4 years, and because now it seems that we're going to reach a compromise there, it has lost the limelight. But this is really key. The ESM has done a wonderful job during the crisis. It's a great instrument to have that gives us a protection that no other place in the world has. So I expect this to make progress.
Hey everybody, it's Hadley Gamble from our new CNBC Middle East Bureau in Abu Dhabi. Thanks for stopping by. Now to watch more, you can try one of the videos that just popped up on your screen. And don't forget to subscribe.